Let's Pour Up. My name is Colina Bruce. Our guest today is no stranger to the show.
No.
She collects sneakers and lipstick, is a thrifter and reseller, and secretly writes short stories that she has not published. Please welcome Toni William.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for being here again.
Yes, yes, of course.
All right. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and let me learn more about the short stories that you are writing and not publishing.
So it started off as a hobby, but I recently published a journal that had came to me, and so they've been more so short reads than short stories. So different like topics that people can, read up on to be more knowledgeable about. And you're not having to read like a thick dictionary style kind of book. Something I'm working on right now is definitely managing anxiety as a Black woman, because I think our anxiety levels show up differently than say our counterparts because of how we kind of, move through things and keep ourselves busy. Another one, a great topic that I've been talking about is just navigating personal boundaries, but things that I've learned in a lot of the interworkings of therapeutic services that I feel like may be good, quick tip books for people to read.
So when can we expect to read them?
Great question.
Because these all sound like amazing resources that we could use.
I'm looking to have one finished by the end of summer, which will be the quick read. And I'm thinking it's no longer, it's not going to be no thicker than this, but end of summer, and then making sure I'm having a schedule. A rollout schedule of when the next ones will roll out.
Awesome. All right. So you have a diverse background. You are currently working in the field of cognitive behavioral therapy. Is that how you say it? Tell me more about that. What does that look like?
So I'm a mental health therapist. Currently, I am working with clients part-time, not full-time. So with the part-time component, I only have the capacity to take on so many clients at a time. But my specialization is cognitive behavioral health as well as solution-focused therapy. So I intertwine the two. Because I feel like the cognitive behavioral piece is you're reprogramming your brain to do something different than how you've been doing it in the past. And a lot of times we pick up on our cognitive characteristic traits from how we were raised, how we've been doing things in the past, what we feel like has been working for us, if it has been working or if it has not been working. And then the solution-focused component is placed into the therapeutic services or just the treatment plan based off of, let's set some goals. What are some things that you want to work on? What are some things that you're trying to reach or do for yourself? And let's celebrate the small and the big gains as well, because oftentimes we're programmed, I'm only going to celebrate if I get 100K a year, or I'm only going to celebrate if, I'm able to lose that 30 pounds. Well, how about we celebrate you losing 2 pounds, or you getting a stipend for doing extra work, or you getting a raise that may be 4.3%, that kind of thing. But having clients look forward to something is important too.
Absolutely,
so that's where the solution focus come in.
Okay, cool. And you work right now, well, I don't know, you were working specifically with young people.
So adolescents 13 and up is my area. I have a master's in childhood trauma, so specialization in that with the counseling and psychology piece. So I have dibbled and dabbled in K-12 education as well as higher ed, doing a lot of adjunct work as well as advising, and then with the K-12 piece, of course, administration and teaching. Has always been something I can't shake for some reason.
Because you're an educator at heart.
Yes, and they keep pulling me back. But that moved me to start taking the adolescents, because it's hard to find adolescents therapists right now that are taking kids that are 13 and up, because they feel like that's you're teetering the line where you can't really have conversations with parents, but you can have conversations with parents if you spin it to where it's family therapy. So making sure that they have someone that they can confide in and they have a safe space too, I think is important. And then those adults that I'm working with too, creating that safe space, because a lot of what we're working with and needing to go to therapy for is the child in us. In areas that have not in the areas that have not been addressed in our childhood, and things that we've kind of been stuffing down or masking in different areas and not talking about. A lot of the pain or certain reasons why we do certain things is rooted in how we were raised.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, they don't see that until they have those sit-down conversations. Well, tell me how that made you feel, or why do you feel like that impacted you in your self-image, that kind of thing. And not being able to dig deep because they didn't have that space created for them when they were younger.
Yeah, or it gets to a completely opposite side of the spectrum where it's like a manic kind of situation where people are trying to revisit those things like, why, how is this happening? Why am I the way that I am, or whatever? And I think that at least in our generation, I've noticed that there's often a lot more words for things now.
Oh, that a lot of people like to throw out.
Well, I mean, just in general, I mean, sometimes you'll hear different terms for things and you're like, oh, wow, like I was feeling that, or I went through that, but I didn't know there was a name for it. And so maybe things are more common, or maybe there's just more research and development around those sorts of things. But I'm curious, what are some of the trends that you're noticing with the young folks that you're working with?
A lot of what I'm seeing, not just in the school systems, but also with some of the clients that I'm working with too, is we're not talking about mental health history in our families. In my community, I strictly try to work with families of color, and we're not talking about those past histories, like did my grandmother suffer from depression, or did my grandfather, have X, Y, and Z anxiety or whatever. We're not talking about the lineage and how that can be passed on from generation to generation. And then two, we're not talking about how we're feeling.
That's definitely a cultural thing.
For sure. And I use this analogy all the time when I'm talking and doing consultations or just having actual group sessions is, the Black community works very, very hard on making sure we look great on the outside, but that same amount of energy needs to go into how we feel on the inside, because you can mask certain things all day, right? But when you take it all off and you go home, whether it's the fancy cars, the clothes, etc., you're still going to have those feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I've been seeing with a lot of the adolescents is they're self-medicating. They don't have that safe space to be able to talk about what they're feeling and why they're feeling that way, or what happened to make them feel that way. And so parents don't know how to kind of have those conversations or to even start them. We talked about active listening, which goes a long way, even with children, and leaving space for silence. Because lo and behold, your children will always fill that space with silence because they're thinking and they're reflecting. Not you constantly asking questions, but leaving the cliffhangers like, well, how did that make you feel? Or what did you say when they said that to you? And just leaving the airspace there.
I think too, when I think about that, like culturally, we are very much trained, for lack of a better word, to understand that there is difference between a child and an adult, and that a child should stay in a child's place, and all these other things that we're conditioned to understand or believe. And so that could also lead to children feeling unheard or feeling powerless, or like not having that space, like you said, to communicate, because they feel like a child. They're young people, but they also are little humans.
Oh, for sure.
that are going to grow into older people.
And they have emotions. And I think the biggest one for our community is not allowing our boys to cry when they're little, or telling them they're okay. And we're reiterating, you're okay if you fell and scraped your knee, and you shouldn't cry.
Just get back up.
And, exactly. Boys shouldn't cry, but it's okay for little people to feel and have emotions. And that's why the tantrum piece and they're always like the terrible twos, but is it really the terrible twos, or are they just now being able to vocalize what makes them angry, what they want to do, what they don't want to do?
It may be a little terrible for us. We're
right.
Like, Jesus,
what are you
doing? It's a whole different phase.
Yes, but they're telling you what they like and what they dislike, what's pissing them off. Yeah, like it's there's light in that. Right. In that terrible twos.
They're formulating expressions. They're just not able to fully articulate it in the way that we might be able to.
So how you cultivate that goes a long way.
Yeah. So what are some tips or tools that you would offer either to young people that are navigating these spaces or to grown-ups who are supporting young people who are navigating these spaces?
For young people, definitely, and this may be something that parents can just take notes on too, is making sure you're asking your child about what's going on with them, whether it is finding a connection with the extracurricular activities, a book that they're reading, something they're watching on TV, because that creates the space of, okay, mom and dad or guardian like something that I like, and this could be our thing, and this can be a space to where I have conversations with them that I may not have out in the open, or when we're driving to school, or when other family members are present. So creating that space. What does that space look like? Is it over food? Is it a one-on-one date? Is it you guys doing something special that only you two like?
Yeah.
But creating that space so when those conversations need to be had, that they feel like, okay, I'm comfortable to be able to talk about this.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Being that I have a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Oh, yes, the gap.
The gap and the same responses. How was your day? It was good. What did you do today? I had fun. You know, like, so how do you recommend digging a little bit deeper? Like, we try to ask more pointed questions, or like for our kindergartner, they send home like dinner conversation topics to ask, you know, a little bit more deeper. But for my teen, it's like,
oh yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was cool. Definitely for my teenagers, asking, okay, so if you could categorize what you liked and what you didn't like for today, or what would you have changed, kind of thing. Yeah, that is a segue to get the tea, more or less. And then you get to hear, oh, okay, and then what did you say when you didn't like that, or you know, and then what happened, kind of thing. But getting, even with I have a middle schooler at home, so talking about, okay, so why you didn't like that, and then when you ask that, then you get this whole word vomit of why, and because last week she said this to me and I didn't like that, but I didn't say anything until today, kind of thing. So being more specific, and being more emotion oriented too, because it's like, okay, did something make you angry today? What made you happy? And so talking about things that make them happy, or, you know, made them, you know, feel relieved. You're also turning on that, okay, I can also offset the negative with the positive.
For sure. And I would say also just being persistent and consistent. I think, you know, it's easy if you keep getting short responses to be like, oh, I'm not going to ask anymore. You know?
And that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, exactly. So we keep asking
every day and be annoying and all that kind of stuff. But just making sure that you are showing that you care too.
For sure.
For adults, it goes a long way when it comes to having persons that listen to you. A lot of times we get into the routine of being able to talk to people, and people interrupt and asking questions, and they want to know more about certain things, but getting to the meat and potatoes of a conversation, you have to listen.
For sure.
Yeah. So that listening, that active listening is very, very important too.
And listening to understand, not listening to respond. Yeah. Because a lot of times you're listening to figure out, like, what are you going to say back? And sometimes you have to just listen and be like, okay, let me process that, and then let me respond. Okay. Let's see. I had some other questions for you. So in your day-to-day work, what are ways that you would what are ways that you would encourage folks to practice self-care?
Oh, good question. That's something that comes up a lot because oftentimes within my work of my private practice, outside of actually being out in the schools and kind of working with parents and students, is you get a lot of burnout. You hear about a lot of adults experiencing burnout, but they don't know how to process burnout.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling burned out. I'm tired. I'm sad. I'm blue all the time. Well, talk to me about what you're doing to make sure you have a balance in work life.
Yeah.
And oftentimes adults aren't even able to articulate that. So you don't take time for yourself. You don't go and get your hair done, or you don't go and get your nails done. And these are just, surface level things that people consider self-care for women, but making sure you're taking time to go out to the gym. Are you walking around the block to kind of cool down from your day and be able to clear your mind?
Yeah.
Are you preparing dinner, or are you grabbing fast food? Because a lot of people don't understand you are what you eat, and that's just not an old folks saying.
Right.
So it's kind of like if you're eating high processed food or things that aren't actually feeding your body, you're constantly going to feel sluggish. You're going to be tired. Different emotions are going to impact you differently than you eating salad and leafy greens with your, dinner every day, or vegetables, that kind of thing. So definitely being intentional. Writing down your schedule is very important, so you're able to see something in real time and where you can fit in those areas for self-care. For me personally, I make sure if I'm not able to go to work out in the morning, I'm working out in the evening, and I'm having a conversation with my spouse about, okay, this is the amount of time that I'm going to need solo dolo, so I can go ahead and do this. It's just an hour, but you come back feeling refreshed, like, okay, I have more energy.
For sure.
Making sure that you're taking the supplements that you may be deficient in. A lot of African Americans don't understand that they may be, not getting enough vitamin D, especially in areas that don't get a lot of sun. So making sure that you are having those things, your levels checked when you go to your physician for your wellness checks and things like that, to make sure you're not anemic and you need to be taking iron. And I say that because I just found out that I needed to take more iron supplements based off of lack of energy. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, am I catching COVID? Am I sick again? But no, it's just my body was deficient in those areas. And so since taking them now for the last 6 weeks, I feel like a totally different person. So making sure that you're knowing what your body needs. And if you don't know, making sure you're asking the right people to learn about it.
Yeah. That's real, though. That's like kind of a philosophy for life, though. You have to figure out what you're deficient in so you can, like, refill yourself. Because otherwise, you're not fully showing up.
Yes. And drink your water. That's very important as well.
A lot of water. Have a Stanley cup.
Yes. So it can stay chilled.
Yeah. It actually makes a difference. The cold. I mean, I know you like room temperature
I love room
water.
temperature water.
I prefer ice cold water. And having a Stanley cup has really enhanced my life.
So now you drink it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Making sure you're hydrated, making sure you're getting enough sleep at night. Yeah. That's a hard one, especially for adults, especially when we're chasing that bag.
Yeah, for sure.
Making sure if you're not being able to get your full 8 hours, that you're at least taking a nap. They said 30-minute naps are able to re-up your energy levels versus taking a 2-hour nap. So not feeling like you don't have time, but power naps go a long way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder, are you more tired after a power nap?
Oh, really? Or are you not?
Sometimes I feel more tired after a power
really
nap. I feel like I don't want to get up.
And see, if I take a nap, I'm trying to sleep through the night.
Period.
I see you wake up sometimes. It's dark outside.
You're like, oh, I needed that nap. Okay, so we have a segment on the show called A Win is a Win. And I'm going to ask you to share about an experience that either you went through a challenge and you feel proud that you came out on the other side, or just something that has been successful that you're super proud about.
I think this is an easy one. I'm super, super proud of my baby. Aww. I'm so proud of it. From a professional standpoint, I would say I'm super proud of being able to switch gears and actually having a plan A and B and C based off of the multiple movements of degrees that I'm able to use in different sectors of work. Okay. So, for example, teaching psychology at a HBCU and being able to do that that and having those credentials to do that. And then also being able to teach at an elementary school or middle school or high school, but also then being able to run if they have an administration position open that I can be able to fill. So, I mean, it gives you multi-dimensional kind of perspectives too. And I think it goes a long way when it comes to the work that you're doing, especially when it comes to little people. Because people talk about the work, but if you're not enmeshed in it or in the trenches doing it, you don't know what it entails. And a lot of people think it's cookie cutter. This is what they need. This is what they need. But different populations need different things, and they need to see different things to get it done.
For sure.
So that goes a long way. But definitely on the top of my list right now for 2023, 2024, girl, would be giving birth and making it out on the other side. I feel like a totally different person. I feel like nobody can tell me no, or nobody can tell me that I can't do anything because of what I was able to do. Like, I brought life into this world. So seeing that little person thrive and grow and do new things, it's like, I did that.
What's been the most surprising thing about motherhood?
There isn't a handbook. Like, you buy all those books and you're like, oh, this is going to teach me this. Like, girl, put that book in the fireplace when you're burning the fireplace. Because granted, there are some things that are like cookie cutter, but all kids are different. What I'm noticing is your temperament goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And your demeanor and how your child kind of sees you deal with different situations. Tucker is so calm. He's so calm, and it's something. It's so fun. He's chill. He relaxes, and he may get that from his dad. But my husband be like, "No, you're really calm about certain things that you should be upset about too, but you just articulate it in a different way." So, it's just funny seeing the different characteristic traits they get.
Absolutely,
And
it'll get more interesting and strange and exciting and all of that as he gets older and older. You'll be like, oh, that's where that comes from.
Right. But girl, the handbook, they don't have a handbook for that, and you just have to ask questions. And I think I had a lot of girlfriends that were able to assist in that too.
We need a village.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are coming to the end of our session. That went by so fast. And at the end, we do affirmations.
Okay.
And so I'm going to ask you to create an affirmation. I'm going to read you a prompt, and you're going to repeat the prompt, and then you're going to answer the question. It'll make sense when I say it. Okay. I am. Say it about yourself.
Oh, great. Oh, okay. No, I like that. Great. Okay.
I am
very strategic.
Okay.
In everything that I do.
Period. I welcome
positive energy into my space on a daily. I welcome good vibes, positive people, new interactions that are going to, help shape and mold me to where I want to be.
I deserve.
I deserve all the money, all the all the things. No, I deserve to be in spaces and lend a voice to the voiceless. And I feel like the work that I've been doing for the past 7 years with my private practice has been able to assist in that. Just seeing what our community needs verbatim versus going off of what a community is telling us that we need that isn't enmeshed in our community.
For sure. Absolutely. I choose
peace and happiness on a daily basis. It's something that I've been working with my own therapist is not allowing little things to dictate the bigger picture. So being able to reverse or switch your lens when something adverse comes your way, to be able to flip it to, okay, well, this didn't work out. This may be a sign that something bigger may be on the horizon, or let's try something different.
For sure. I believe
all things can be done through Christ who strengthens me.
Amen. I trust
the process. Everything happens for a reason. You stretch yourself. You come into new spaces. You get out of your comfort zone to do great things to grow. So I definitely see that as something that I'm starting to be able to digest. Yes, a little bit better.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
That's real. I know.
Okay, I know that I'm confident in the work that I do, as well as the people I interact with on a daily.
Yeah.
But I also know that people appreciate the interactions that we have too. Yeah.
I feel
very comfortable. I feel like I'm getting my footing. I feel like I'm learning new things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I stay for being reflective of my feelings.
Okay. I create
spaces for those who have not had space created for them.
I love
the little family that I'm creating. I'm so proud. Like, I'm really, really proud. Yes, my little family. It's little because, we don't have a lot of little people in there. But I tell my husband all the day, every day, I really enjoy what we are creating family-wise.
Yes, I love that. Okay, I am
Toni Williams.
Come on, Toni Williams. Well, thank you for joining us again. How can the people find you?
Oh, so you can find me on Facebook at T.Williams Counseling Services. You can like our page. You'll be able to get updates on all specials that I'm offering therapeutic-wise. Instagram, T.Williams Counseling Services, blue check, as well as you can go to my website, twilliams.com. You take the period out of after the T. And if people want to send me emails, I can be reached at T.Williams Counseling Services, all one word, at gmail.com.
And what do you specialize in?
I specialize in cognitive behavioral therapy as well as solution focused.
Okay.
And so with that, the umbrella spans from grief and loss to life transitions, as well as professional instances. So I mean,
a range of things.
A range of things. And you can find me on Psychology Today or Clinicians of Color if you are interested in reading my Vitae.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you again.
Thanks for having
joining
me.
us.
Yes.
And
Bye-bye.